Hello beautiful souls. Hello beautiful souls. So in this video, we are going to talk about the importance of stillness. So in the video, freeze or stay still, I said that we are going to talk about the importance of stillness in some other video, and this is that video. So let's try to understand why it's important to stay still while doing meditation, or even if you are not meditating, then even in your schedule, just having that moment when you are staying still, right? So why it's important. So we are going to use an example. There are three attributes to us: mind, body, and soul. So first, mind is our thoughts, it's our actions which we take, right? So these are obviously actions are what we take. The next thing is our body. Our body is our physical self, our reality. The third thing is our soul, which is our consciousness, our inner calling, our intuition. Now just imagine that this is our body, right? And this is a boat. Now for a boat to move, there are two kinds of velocity. One is the velocity of the stream, that is the water, and the second is the velocity of the boat itself. Now how a boat gets its velocity? Through fuel we provide to it, right? So that means there are three aspects to it. First is the boat itself. The next thing is the velocity of the stream, that is the water, and the next thing is the velocity of boat, which we can also say that how much fuel we are providing to it. Yeah, so in the normal course, what should happen is that our boat should be in alignment with our consciousness. It should be moving in our inner calling, in our intuition, and the fuel which we are providing, our thoughts and our actions, should be also be in alignment with our consciousness, right? But what happens is that as a human, we take a lot of things throughout our life. We experience different things, and then there are certain fears in us, and a lot of things happens. So we pick up a lot of things which are not true to us. And in that course, what happens is that we start moving in opposite direction to our consciousness. That is, our thoughts and our actions does not align anymore with our consciousness, with our inner calling. So this is a boat, right? This is the flow of our consciousness. And now instead of moving in this direction, our thoughts and our actions start taking our boat in the opposite direction. You see? So that's what happens in the in the normal course. Like in our reality, that is what is happening. We are moving opposite direction to our consciousness. Now when we stay still, staying still, that means that our boat is going to be in a still mode. It's not going to move in any direction. Now for that happen, now first thing before going into that, a boat needs to move, if a boat needs to move in opposite direction, then it does needs to have a velocity, that is our thoughts and our actions needs to be in more power than our inner calling. That is, our inner calling start hindering somewhere where we cannot hear it anymore. We don't know what is the stream of the water, and that's how, like, if a boat has to move in opposite direction to the stream, then it does needs to have a lot more fuel. It requires a lot more fuel, right? That means that our thoughts and our actions are a lot more, like we are thinking a lot, we are taking actions a lot, we are not providing that stillness to us. Yeah, so that is what happening, and that is why our boat is moving in opposite direction, right? Now first thing which we need to stay still is that the boat needs to stop. Like even if it's moving in any direction, it just needs to stop, right? So if a boat needs to stop, then the fuel needs to be stopped, because unless or until we are giving that fuel, the boat will not stop moving. So what we have to do is we start, we start getting less in our head. Like we start coming out of our head, we start thinking less, we start getting back in a, maybe let's say in a cocoon phase where we are not taking a lot of actions. Now that does not mean that we should not take action, but it's more so like we are getting back into a passive mode, right? So we are going to first decrease that fuel. And how we are going to decrease that full fuel? When we are going to stay in meditation, which is first stay still and take those deep breaths, right? that provides that calmness to our thoughts. That means that it does not stop, that it does not mean that whole fuel has stopped stopping. For that to stop, what should happen is that the velocity of the stream, that water, needs to be equal to the stream of the boat, right? So it does not mean that the stream of the boat, that the fuel needs to come to 0. But if it's 100, then it should come to 50, so that it can align with this thing. Like, so if these are, sorry for that, just let it pass. Okay, so if these streams are equal, then there is this stillness in them, and then nobody is going to move in any direction, right? So that is what going to give that stillness to boat. For that, we need to decrease our thoughts frequency. So when you stay still and do meditation, you must have noticed that when we stay still and try to meditate, then our thoughts start coming back a lot. Like, there are a lot of thoughts. Why does this happen? It's because that when we are not providing that a lot of fuel to it, right? But still there is an sparing fuel to it. So when you are not giving a lot of fuel to it, it's going to use the reserves, and that's when there is a lot of thoughts start coming in your mind that, oh, this has happened, and then you are feeling like, okay, I should move, I should do this, I should do that, or I should just move my body. And that's why it happens, because it's like your fuel, your velocity of the boat wants to go again, like wants to have its own velocity again back to its 100. So when you are trying to make it to move to 150, it tells you that you have to move, the boat needs to move. And then this is the phase where you're like, okay, if you move, then that breaks your, that flow is break, and you are again moving in your thoughts direction, and you are again back in your head and thinking a lot of this, right? So these are the very important moment when we are doing meditation, because if we are seeing that there are a lot of thoughts, then we say that let it pass through us, right? That's what we say when we are doing meditation, and when we are staying still, then there will be a surge of thoughts. And in that moments, you don't need to control those thoughts. You just need to let it flow. Just watch them. Just let them flow, right? When we are trying to just let them flow, we are trying to just, just getting back like, okay, it's just using the reserves. Yeah, and we are not providing more fuel to it, right? So now this is the state where we are still, and then there is no movement to us. We are not moving in the consciousness, nor we are moving in opposite direction to our consciousness. We are staying still. And this stillness acts as a portal where we can either move towards our consciousness, or we can move towards our thoughts, like back to our, back to our physical tapped world. We can be back into that. So when we are staying still, there is a moment where we can either go in this direction or we can go in that direction. So stillness is a very important point, because it opens up a portal for us where we have the power to step into any zone. And thus stillness is really important while you are doing meditation. Because why we do meditation? So that we can get back to our flow. Sorry. So that we can get back to our flow, right? Now, for that flow to happen, you first need to stay still, right? You cannot just, like this boat is moving in 100 speed, and you are not just gonna move it like that. If you do that, then that will fall. Like, I said that, I said this actually, I'm a very much believer of being in the now. But then what happens is that when we start being in the now, and in the starting we are like 24/7, we are like, I'm not gonna think about anything, I'm gonna be in the now, I'm gonna be in the now 24/7. What happens is that your boat is moving at 100, and you are just giving it a break. And then you are not just giving it a break, you are again trying to move it in the, and you are trying to move its direction. Now that is a very risky thing, because if you just put a, I don't drive, but if we just put a brake like this, then obviously there will be a friction, right? And if you try to move it in that, with that high speed, then well, the boat might sink in, the boat might what we call it, I forgot. Sorry, I'm doing this a lot, I'm sorry. But yeah, your boat will just flip, right? So that's why I'm not a believer that being in now is best, but don't be like being in the now. From today on, I'm going to be in the now 24/7. Well, you won't be able to adjust to it. Well, if you can, that's completely fine. That's what I have learned from my experience, that if I start to being in the now from 24/7, then it feels really, it does not feel good. And I'm not a very big supporter of that, but that's completely up to you, right? What you want to do. But yeah, back to our point, sorry, back to our point, right? That what is this? What is the importance of stillness? The importance of stillness is that it provide that boat a place where it's not moving in any direction, where it's not moving in the consciousness, where not it's moving towards the thought. There is a stillness to it. There is a movement, that is a movement where it can decide where it wants to go. It can go in this direction, it can go in that direction, it can go in the direction of our consciousness, listening to our inner calling, or it can get back to it. Now, when you do meditation and you are in meditation, then obviously you start listening to your inner calling, you start moving in your your state of your consciousness. That's why, because there is not a fuel, that not enough fuel, right? When the whole fuel is when the velocity of the boat is decreased, more than, let's say that the velocity of the consciousness is 50 and the velocity of the boat, again sorry, so yeah, the velocity of velocity of the consciousness is 50 and the velocity of boat is just 20. Then however hard the boat tries to move in opposite direction, it cannot move in opposite direction, because the velocity of consciousness is higher than that. And that's when we are in stillness, there comes a point where our thought cease to exist, its velocity decreases a lot, and we start moving with our consciousness. We start getting alignment with our intuition. We start listening to our inner calling. That happens after the moment of stillness. I hope I am able to convey my point. I'm not confusing it. I know there is a lot of physics and maths, but I thought this is the best way to explain these. And yeah, I hope you understood my point, right? But now, what also happens is that when we are just meditating, then we start listening to our intuition and calling. But when we get back to our physical, our reality and our all these things, what happens is that when we start again moving, we start giving fuel to it. And then again, instead of moving in the direction of our consciousness, that fuel, that is the thoughts and actions, again we start taking actions in the opposite direction to what our inner calling says, and then we again start moving in opposite direction. So when you are in stillness, you are continuously doing meditation, and you are listening to that inner calling, that's not enough. You have to, the fuel you are giving to that boat, it needs to be that it provides that velocity in the direction of the consciousness. That is, your actions, your thoughts needs to align with your inner calling, with the intuition you are getting. And unless you don't do that, you're gonna keep moving in the opposite direction. That does not mean that you always have to listen to your intuition. Obviously, you have a free will and you have your own sense of, thinking. Obviously, we all cannot 24/7 follow our intuition. We can if we want to, but I understand. So try to, try to, as much as you can, try to follow your inner calling, however uncomfortable it feels like. See, I am following my inner calling by doing this, because I am kind of person who is if you are in front of me, I'm not gonna talk to you. I'll be that's how I am in my real life. I don't talk, but then through this channel, I'm speaking a lot. I'm listening to my inner calling, and I'm not in complete alignment with my consciousness. My boat is still moving in opposite direction. It is still moving, yes, not at that much high speed. Even if it it's like 70. My my velocity of boat is still 70. It's not 100, but still it's 70 or 60 somewhere, and it's not in the direction of my consciousness still. But still, I'm trying, right? I'm trying to through this channel to try to follow my inner calling, and in my day-to-day life, I am trying to follow my inner calling. So yeah, when you get into that inner calling, when you get into that stillness, when you start listening to your intuition, when you start listening to your inner calling, try to follow it, and that will be a really grateful thing to you can do to yourself, like best thing, yeah, you can do for yourself. And I hope I am doing a great thing as well, because I'm just following them. Like, they told me to create this channel for like past 2-3 years. They're telling me, create this channel, you have to create a channel, you have to be in public eye, you have to do this, you have to do that. And from 2-3 years I'm like, oh, I don't think I'm ready, I don't think I know enough, I don't know this, I don't know that. But then that point of stillness happened, and I had that moment where I was like, my actions needs to go in alignment with my consciousness now, because I am providing a lot of fuel to my boat, but it's not letting it move in the consciousness, you know, with my consciousness, with my calling. So yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just got a little I started talking about something like that, which does not relate to this video. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna cut this, I think, because it's good to have some heart to heart talking like this, because yeah, it's not like we are doing business, right? We are just sharing our own experiences, we are sharing what we know, so that others can be helped as well. So it's okay to have sometimes heart to heart talk. Yes, it does not feel like a great thing, because it feels like others are gonna judge me, others are gonna think like this, but that's fine. Like, that's fine. I'm not gonna cut this part anyway. So yeah, so that's all for this video. Thank you for being here. Hope to see you in the next episode. Till then, keep exploring, keep learning, keep living. Have a wonderful life. Bye.